This event is also part of a fundraiser for global for support Inspiring Girls International, who is running a global giving campaign at the moment, and this international organization is dedicated to inspire girls through mentoring, and also to help them achieving their kind of aspirations and goals, because often this lack of confidence and gender stereotypes are the main barriers why women don't achieve their goals and can dream big. So feel free to, if you like this webinar, feel free to donate an amount of your choice. I think Johanna is going to share the global giving link to this campaign. So a little bit about today's agenda. So first, I'm going to talk about a little bit the role of the SMEs, the global goals, and the SDG Compass Guide, and the different ways to go about SDG strategy. So SDG means the Sustainable Development Goals, and I'm not going to deep dive into them, but we'll touch upon what they are as well. And then Tuliana shortly after will take over with the importance of communicating and being transparent about the progress of SDGs and SDG strategies. We will also see some examples of successful SDG strategies among small and medium-sized companies. And we'll have a peek into SDG Monitor itself, which is a cloud-based dashboard where companies can track and visualize their data. And yeah, as I mentioned, in the end, we will leave some time for Q&A. So why are we talking about small and medium-sized companies? This is kind of our passion field, because when we created for the sustainability, one of the reasons was that we felt like the small and medium-sized businesses are being left out from the sustainability agenda, or even there is not much talk about them contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals. And actually, even themselves think that they are too small to be able to, to change the course of action and contribute to the bigger goals and achieving even the Paris agenda or net zero. This has changed a little bit in the past years because of the government policies, but we can still see this notion. So when we zoom out, we can actually see their contribution to our world in terms of and their power in terms of in monetary terms and their economic power in general. So we can see that actually 95% of all firms globally are small and medium-sized businesses, which is quite a shocking fact. And even if it's if you go to more underdeveloped or developing countries, that figure can be around 99%, considering the informal workers. They employ 70% of total employment globally, and also have massive contribution to our GDP, which is estimated around 50%. So we can see that leaving the small and medium-sized business out of the sustainability agenda is not really an option. And they have a really key role in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And they also have the negative impact, so they're also contributing negatively. So, and they actually feel the impact of climate change and environmental degradation much closer, because they are rooted in those communities. Okay, so I think we can go to the next slide. Just a quick note about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I'm not going into detail. I hope most of you are aware of them. That's why you joined. I really like this representation that was made by the Stockholm Resilience Center, which is it's kind of wedding cake shape, triple bottom line, that representing the triple bottom line of sustainable development. On the bottom, having the environmental goals, and in the middle, the society and economy on the top. So what it says basically that we cannot achieve economic growth without, considering the planetary boundaries on the very bottom, and the health of our societies. So, and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals were ratified by all UN states in 2015. So it's the 6th year that we are heading towards the Sustainable Development Goals, and the target date is to reach them by 2030. They also align well with the ESG, so environmental social governance reporting, which you may have heard about already. So it's a really convenient way for companies to report on ESG as well, if they map their progress in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. I think we can go to the next slide. Yes. Yeah. So what the overall progress? I think we can go one. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, we're good. Sorry. So the overall progress of the SDGs had been off track already even before the pandemic, but 2020 hit even harder. And some sustainable development goals were actually impacted in a more unproportionate way. So, for example, there's some unfortunate stats that we're bringing here are SDG 1, which is the no poverty goal, was slid down on the progress due to the pandemic pushing around 500 million people back to poverty, and also why the reason due to the people losing their jobs as well. Obviously, not just among people, young people, but in all age. The gender equality agenda was impacted also because it's women who are the most likely to drop out of workplaces, and they also are more prone to or more exposed to domestic violence being at home, and it's harder to get out of those situations. And the quality education, which is SDG 4, have been impacted mostly in developing countries, where the lack of digital infrastructure made children dropping out of school. So these are the doom and gloom, but let's see what we learned from 2020. So I'll hand over to Lianna.
Thank you, Lisa. First of all, if we think about in general in terms of the SDGs, globally, 35% of companies say that businesses, they actually have a significant role to play in delivering the SDGs. This is a great news. So small and medium-sized companies, as well as big companies, they are already increasingly supporting the SDGs and also finding ways how to show their impacts against these goals. Then, when the world was in lockdown, the greenhouse gases and CO2 emissions, they reduced at least temporarily during COVID times. And that started also the action on how we can create green recovery out of the pandemic. And there has been strategies in building back better. And as part of the Green New Deal as well, in 2020, the renewable energy surpassed for the first time fossil fuels in European electricity production and consumption. So the direction is becoming the right one, but we need to act even more faster. And at the moment, solar power being the most affordable renewable energy form. Then in terms of ESG investments and impact investing, that is investments made with the intentions to generate positive, measurable social and environmental impact together with financial returns. That has grown within the last few years tremendously. And actually the creation of SDGs in 2015 have made it possible to focus more on impact investing by creating the awareness needed for sustainable way of doing business. Then the last but not least, COVID has shaped how the workplace trends are today. So it has placed employees to work from home, and in some cases, the employees will never actually return back to the office. The remote work is so normal right now that many companies have even started to giving up their office spaces completely, as they regard them as stranded assets. And addition to the virtual work environments that we are very used to nowadays, companies are going more towards ad hoc meeting-based co-working spaces that can be then rented or on demand. And it has been interesting to see this trend that companies are now letting their employees to work from anywhere more. And this culture has accelerated with of course, very fast developing digital technologies and due to the shift to organization culture that includes trust. And due to COVID, the companies are also increasingly understood the need for mental health support and care support for their employees. And that's why, according to Harvard Business Review, companies are more now revising their employee benefit packages, adding these aspects into them. And here, Antonio Gutierrez, the Secretary General of United Nations, he also supports these facts by saying that a recovery from the coronavirus crisis, it is an opportunity to build more sustainable and inclusive economies and societies, and that way a more resilient and prosperous world. And now I will hand it over to Lisa. She will now bring the SDGs into the context of SMEs.
Yes, so thank you. So basically, we can see there is a massive opportunity now, and it seems like the world has awakened to the issues. But unfortunately, there are still barriers. So it is reported that 63% of SMEs lack resources to implement SDG strategies. So it means that we're leaving them out from the opportunity to create a more attractive business to investors, to increase their competitiveness and establish stronger brands as well, which would actually grow their capacity in the future. So further on, we will bring one framework, and this is from now on, this whole webinar is going to be based on this 5-step framework called the Compass Guide, which was developed by the UN Global Compact and GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative. Which is very compelling and a nice high-level process or guideline for companies to be to embed the sustainable development goals into their strategy, or be able to harness the opportunities that the SDGs bring. However, the issue with this framework is that it's too high level. So when it comes to simplicity, it's always obviously that there is this barrier that this work is much more complex than just going through these 5 steps in an afternoon, for example. So in order to bring this high-level framework into a more tangible level, we're going to present how these 2 tools, the 4D sustainability and SDG monitor, fit into these 5 steps, and how you can actually implement it on a more tangible level. So this 5-step process starts with understanding the SDGs. We offer some SDG cards for that, and I'm going to show other types of really good resources for benchmarking. But it's a little bit understanding how SDGs relate to different business areas and in general what other businesses are doing in the world. So understanding the benchmarks, where is that that particular organization, your organization, can do something similar to their peers. Then in the second step, they suggest to define priorities. For that, one needs to understand its own value chain, and we will dive into that a bit deeper. Then the third step is about targets setting. So setting goals and targets that we will share as well today, how we do it in 4D sustainability and in the SDG monitor. And ultimately, Tuliana will also show us how communication and visualization and integration of these goals can happen through a live case study. Okay. So understanding the SDGs, this is how we normally start presenting the Sustainable Development Goals, kind of from the top to the bottom, and from the bottom to the top as well. So the first thing is understanding the macro context of the given country and then industry. So why do we care about country level information? Is because the countries in the developing or the middle income countries or developed countries, they all will have different priorities. What we should focus on or achieve. Obviously, the social SDGs would have more issues and need to be addressed more in, for example, in developing countries. And you can see that well in the Sustainable Development Report developed by the SDG Index. We shared the link, so you can also go to that report and check, for example, your country score. It's a really interesting document that they update every year. So it's just to understand really where your country stands at and how it is progressing, what is their main focus now. And also, if you feel like, we would be happy to see if you found your country and share, your country score. So the countries are in an alphabetic order. It's just for curiosity. So you can share that in the chat. So in the second step, we always emphasize the sector level impact. So it's really important that that particular SME, how, in what industry operates, and how what is that that industry's main, I would say, impact is on the environment and the society or communities. So there are some really good sector roadmaps developed by the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. We'll share all these links after the event. But basically, these roadmaps are a really good guideline for companies to understand where their industry is heading and how they what are the kind of impact hotspots that they need to address. And then in this third level, you can have some inspiration by looking at benchmarks and practical tips and other case studies what companies are doing already. So there's a really nice and useful page called the Blueprint for Business Leadership on SDGs, which is breaking down all SDGs to very tangible actions and gives us ideas what other companies are doing. And we also developed some SDG cards that has basically the same objective based on the analysis of global goals and targets developed by UNGC and GRI. Is kind of comprehensive way of linking SDGs with different business activities or the actions that business can actually take. So going further, we contextualize a little bit the SDGs, and in the second and third step, the Compass Guide suggests to define our priorities. In order to define our priorities, we need to understand our organization's or company's value chain, which is can be a very robust task. So we definitely, like, before we define any targets, we need to understand how our value chain is impacting the environment and our communities. And then you can also run an impact assessment through, there are many tools out there. I brought the 4D Sustainability Canvas, which is one way of doing the impact mapping. So it's a visual tool to bring the team together, answer the questions, and brainstorm about some potential actions that the company can take in all the 4 dimensions of the community, employees, governance, and planet. And in the third step is all about setting targets and communicating it. So that's quite a crucial stage where the internal job becomes more transparent. And that's also very, I guess, for the achievement of these goals, it's one of the key steps as well, because that's what makes companies more accountable and committed to the achievement of tasks. So we use a very simple template for that, where companies can set SMART goals based on the actions that come out of the 4D canvas. But we also have a digital tool, which is the SDG Monitor, that Tuliana will show us later.
Thank you, Lisa. So I would like to just sum up a little bit what we went through already. So Lisa explained why it's beneficial for companies, SMEs, to use SDGs as a framework for the sustainability plan, also how to choose KPIs and start measuring their progress. The SDGs, they are government level goals, but companies, organizations, households, and individuals, they are the ones who are realizing them. And that's why we created SDG Monitor. We help any business, big or small, to show their impact of their actions towards the SDGs. So when you set your targets, it is most important to set some kind of measuring system. What you doesn't measure, you cannot manage. And with quantitative data, you can track where you are, show where you are progressing, and where more efforts are needed. Also, something when you are setting your targets, important to notice that start early and start right now. Year 2026 or even 2024 may seem like very far away, but hey, it's not. And time flies, and without an efficient measuring and tracking, taking consistent action, the goals won't get achieved. So with this, let's talk about communication now. So why communicating your sustainability performance and your actions impact is important? Who are actually interested in your company's progress and why? And how to come up with an efficient and transparent sustainability communication. So first, mirror your actions against a commonly known framework, such as the SDGs. Very, very comprehensive framework. We actually believe it's the best available framework out there. And place your actions into a global level that way.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Use sustainability as a communication tool. So once your sustainability plan is ready, like Lisa said, start first by communicating with your employees. Make sure that everyone in your organization understands the sustainability policy. And as sustainability is a teamwork, only with a fully engaged employees, you can create a sustainable business that's also financially successful. So employees need to understand the contents of your sustainability policy and how the actions are actually integrated into their daily work. This increases tremendously employee engagement and their productivity as well. Other thing is, in addition to building strong stakeholder engagement, is to show impacts. So you want to show and communicate your environment, social, and governance impacts. And who are the ones interested in your impacts? They are all your stakeholders, internal and external, so employees, investors, owners, clients. As impact investing has increased a lot in the last few years, make sure to communicate efficiently your ESG impact so that also investors may know how much good your company is already doing. So this based on the data, the evaluations of your company. And use your data as a tool for employee engagement, building brand image, attracting impact investors, also pitching for new clients, very important. Then if we think about the data visualization part, that is also communication. So visualizing your sustainability journey and do it in a smart way. As a visualized data is always ready to be shown in different kind of presentations, ad hoc meetings, your annual reports, social media posts as well, on an email, anytime. People, they learn to read one kind of visualized data when they have seen it X amount of times, so when they have seen it many times. So if you change, for example, your data visualization techniques all the time, or you don't visualize your performance at all, you will never catch the attention of your stakeholders. They don't go to your annual report, for example, or any report of your sustainability to dig into the data. You need to take that data out from your reports and visualize it in an appealing way. Communication is so important part of sustainability and your brand image that you want to invest in efficient and transparent communication. So use your data, use your performance, your sustainability journey as your keys for your communication. And communicate about successes. You can also communicate your failures. Honesty is something that builds trust and makes your company accountable at the same time. And something important about sustainability plans, that revise them regularly and schedule it. Otherwise, it won't be done. For example, in SME, we would suggest that you revise it every 3 to 6 months. Or as how we do it at SDG Monitor, our small team, we do sustainability breakfasts every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And we view the plan, we talk about our actions, the actions that we are going to take that week. Also, and then we update our actions in real time in SDG Monitor. And last but not least, open communication. It's an invitation for your internal and external stakeholders to join your sustainability journey with you. So don't waste that chance. Here we have chosen a couple of business cases for the SDGs. And the first two here are companies that have their business strategies and their principal product or service strongly aligned with one or two SDGs. So, for example, here we have Four Sigmatic. It is a Finnish company that's fully online from the day one. They are making organic coffee with mushrooms in it. And with this product, there is a direct impact to the SDG 12, ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns. Their ESG impact is in environment, mostly. And as they use the superfood from nature, they use lion's mane functional mushrooms that has been used for thousands of years to increase productivity, creativity, immune system support, stress support. These mushrooms have healing powers and they are extremely renewable natural resource. The mushrooms have been on this planet way before we have, and they can be found from anywhere in the world. The trick for Four Sigmatic, how to integrate mushrooms into everyone's daily ritual. They found out that, for example, an average Finn consumes 12 kilos of coffee annually. So voila, here is the ritual. And as we know, it takes 60 days to adopt a new habit. So it's not easy to put something into people's daily routine. So they invented this mushroom coffee. They have a medium-sized company with 35 employees. They are selling online on 65 countries, and the team is benefiting from this work from anywhere culture of day one. Then here on the right-hand side, there is another business case, which is Victim's Voice application. And Victim's Voice application has a direct impact on SDG 5, achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls. Their ESG impact is in social, most in human rights. As the Victim's Voice, they help domestic violence victims with this application that makes collecting the evidence of this the abuse safe and secure and legally admissible. During COVID, like we studied before this webinar, during times of COVID, domestic violence have increased a lot in a very alerting pace, and Victims' Voice is one of those companies who are helping the victims to report these abuses. And they aim to raise the current prosecution rate that is currently only 2%. And often these domestic violence things are tip of an iceberg, so this application takes into account the whole picture of the case, stores the data, doesn't leave any track to, for example, browser history, so that somebody could, or maybe the abuser could go and check what happened there. It takes into all the details, the dates, the doctor appointments. And they have a very interesting partner program, since 99% of women who are facing domestic violence abuse also suffer from financial abuse. So in their partner program, there are legal bodies and companies that, with the help of these partners, they offset the cost to victims who need it the most. This annual subscription for this application is a little bit less than $40. Then a third business case, Scarpa Wine, which is actually our SDG Monitors clients, one of our clients, and Scarpa Wine from Italy. We helped Scarpa to draw their sustainability action plan through our online program, where we have concepted 4 modules to build a action plan with concrete and measurable actions that are integrated into the SDGs. So Scarpa is a leading sustainable winery, and in the Piemonte wine region, producing, for example, Barolo wines, and they are operating in UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Scarpa has also hospitality services in their service offering. And Scarpa's way to producing wine has always been very sustainable, and they have respected the traditional ways of the winery, but but they also understand that there is always room for improvement. So they do small but impactful actions, and they want to be nature and socially positive company. These actions were chosen carefully with business impacts in mind too. It's important when you have a sustainability action that you think also about the business impact. If we do this action, will there be cost savings? Will there be improvement in our brand image? Or will this action, for example, create a new innovation or maybe a new collaboration? And just a few sustainability, how sustainability is structured. It includes their winery and also the vineyards. So they aim to use energy only from renewable sources. They want to improve water usage and recycling a lot. So they are using, for example, rainwater in the vineyards. They use recycled glass bottles and sustainable and CO2 neutral cork. One of the main areas of action is to protect the biodiversity, which is very rich in these areas, and increase the area of planted undercrop. They use, for example, 13 different herbs, flowers, and weeds where it's beneficial. They also monitor the number of flying insects, and they are collaborating with the local agricultural universities in the area and share these results with them. They have also a very interesting thing is they introduced this drone imaginary to monitor soil and vineyard health. And they are also giving unused land to apiculturists so that the community, they can also take benefit and have this opportunity. And they also want to increase transparency with publicly available data, and that is something what they are using with SDG Monitor. So I will go now to give you a tour how all this comes together in our sustainability performance measurement and communication tool. Okay, so I'm now inside the SDG Monitor tool, and I talked with our clients so I can show their actual plan. So this is Scarpa's actual sustainability plan. And SDG Monitor, this is a tool that pairs your sustainability actions with SDGs. So first thing here is I have typed the action here, and then it pairs it with SDG business indicator. There are some best matches for depending of these keywords that you have used in the action field. And here we can see, okay, this action will go to the SDG 15. You have a little bit longer test here as well in order that you can compare which is the right indicator that you want to have impact with this action. Then SDG Monitor provides you automatically your ESG impact. This one will go to governance, and then your detailed impact as well. SDG Monitor helps you also with setting up the time frame for each action. Is this action have a short-term goal or a long-term goal? It helps to set up your baseline and your target for each action with quantitative values. And also, what is your KPI? So there is a place for the unit of measure, and what is the unit of measure you start measuring your actions progress? You can invite the SDG Monitor contributors, because not all these sustainability actions are on one person's desk. So you might want to share some actions with your supplier, for example, or your maybe electric provider, and they will actually fill in real time that data in the SDG Monitor. And then we were talking about communication. So SDG Monitor, we have 5 different dashboards to visualize your sustainability performance and your journey. Here we have, for example, one dashboard for each of your actions. You have the action title. You have here the SDG that this action has impact on with United Nations short description. You have the current value that you have updated for this action with your target value, as well as your growth rate. So SDG Monitor actually automatically gives you this data. So with the data that you have provided, the values that you have provided in the first step, it calculates your growth rate, how much you should progress per year in order to get to your goal on time. It draws your action performance. So here's the actual performance and your target performance. And then if we go through this link, we can see that there is also one dashboard for per each SDG. So we have, so this is a place how you can visualize, okay, we are contributing to SDG 15, but how? Okay, we have here this action, or maybe some other actions as well. And then it gives you also the number of all actions per SDGs and your all SDGs in index scores. Since these actions are in different, are measured in different unit of measures, you can, with index score, we have kind of like realize that then you can present your whole performance as one in one chart. Then let's take my ESG impacts. Here you have all the ESG impacts of this plan, the actions that are included in it. So you can see the list of actions that have, for example, environment impact, and also more specifically, impact on sustainable production and consumption. Then in this table view, you have actually all the important information, the SDG, the action, the business indicator, so what is the KPI, and your ESG impact with your target and current dates. And now if this is something that you want to communicate, you can go to Share Dashboard. You can open this in a new external link that you can share with anyone. They will have access then to only to this interactive dashboard. Or you can also export it as a PNG and put this image to any presentation or report or any communication channel what you have.
Thank you, Tuliana. It's really, I really love SDG Monitor because it's quite comprehensive, easy to use. We also use it for sustainability plan. I can share our dashboard as well with you. So it's really just, yeah, a very visual way to engage stakeholders. Do you have a good experience also, like companies sharing it with their stakeholders?
Yes, we have, and they have really realized that this is a great way to communicate your current performance. And also, if you want to go to look at on our website, we are also transparently and openly showing where we are going with our sustainability actions. So there is a link from our website to there, and we can also put it into the chat as well.
Yeah, it's lovely, and it's lovely like that you also broke it down to the ESG level. So it just kind of shows the intersection of these two frameworks. Nice. I think we have 9 minutes left from the webinar, so we are really good with the time. And I believe we received some questions, haven't we, Johanna? Yeah.
Yes, we have. Thank you, and thank you, Lisa and Tuliana, for the presentation. Alan had a very interesting question about if we had any good examples of SMEs to medium-sized companies that sit within the retail industry in contrast to the downstream supply chain examples, for example, do-it-yourself industry, and in general, which indicators would such organizations tend to find plausible for acting on? So Lisa, you had some insight to that?
Thank you. It's a really good question, very specific question. I think there is no one indicator fits all kind of approach. So retail, we don't have experience with retail industry. We have experience with online marketplaces, like on the SME side. And no matter if it's downstream or upstream business, the most important part is understanding the business's impact. So that's the first thing to understand. For example, for a retail one, probably the most important to understand how they procure in their products and services. So this kind of indirect impacts will probably bear a bit more like weight on the value chain. But it really depends on specific. So that's why I shared in the beginning, there are some industry benchmarks. So it's always good to see what other companies are doing. So we shared that link about in the SDG Business Hub, but also just look at the value chains of specific industries to understand better which are the areas that they need to address. So and also the different assessments reveal these gaps. So just asking these questions around the environmental impact or the governance of the company can reveal some further quest on what they need to kind of research more. So I wouldn't say, I don't know, Tuliana, if you had more other experience with retails.
I think you covered it very well. So
yeah, I'm sorry, Alan, if we didn't give you like an exact answer on indicators to use, but another thing that we also shared is this SME Climate Hub, which comprises a lot of industry and sector-specific frameworks that can also be very useful by looking up some like if you're interested in specifically in the DIY, what you can find there. Yeah, so I think I don't know. You can feel free, Alan, to unmute yourself and and reflect if you feel like, if you're still with us. Otherwise, I don't know if we have some other questions or anyone wants to add anything, would like to.
Thank you. It's good to hear from you again, Lisa. Yeah, we connected through Amani, right? But yeah, no, thanks for the answer. Of course, it's difficult. Conventional companies going into sort of a moving, slightly going through transition. Yeah, it's challenging. Supply chain, procurement, definitely. Yeah. Well, you've put in a few links here. I see many links. So I'll have a look at a lot of these links and try to see what I can find.
Yeah.
Apologize for the slightly specific question.
No. It's a good one, and I think it's good to like ask these questions so to understand where you need to actually sometimes these questions just reveal where you need to start the research, because it's really about understanding first the impact, and even within industry or within companies it will be different depending on the type of materials you're using or the type of products you're producing. So it's a very complex thing, and you cannot get away with, I think, a very generic approach. Yeah. All righty. But thank you. Good question. Anyone else has anything to add or ask? We have still 3 minutes left. All right. If not, well, I just would like to remind about our upcoming events. So next week, is Earth Week. We have 2 wonderful events that you may join in the frames of Earth Week. One is the SDG Monitor webinar. Would you like to
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, we have next Tuesday, 20th of April, we have at 2 p.m. Central European Time, Know Your SDGs webinar. This is a part of our webinar series that we are giving actually 2 different webinars every month. And this one is next week. We are going to put there into context for businesses, government, and individual level, all the 17 SDGs with real business examples as well. So we are going to open up all the SDGs in this webinar. So if you are interested, so please sign up and join us. It's a free webinar, so it's a great opportunity also to meet other like-minded SDG-minded people. So it's a great networking place.
Thank you. And we will share the link to register for that as well after the event in emails. I'm holding for the sustainability workshop next week with an Earth Day edition special theme at 2 p.m. British Summer Time, so 3 p.m. Central European summertime, and it's going to be a brief version of our 2-day workshops that we hold normally with small and medium-sized companies. So we're going to go through that framework that I showed you in the beginning, and it's a very hands-on workshop where we basically apply all the 3 steps of our 4D framework and do lots of fun things in Miro. So you're welcome to join and register. And please do not forget to visit Inspiring Girls Global Giving Campaign. Again, sharing the link. And if you like this webinar, just donate as much as you wish so. Otherwise, I would like to thank you all for joining us. Thank you to Lianna.
Thank you, Lisa.
And Johanna for your support as well. This is our details to where you can reach us, but can contact us on LinkedIn as well. And I'm going to share the slides, as I mentioned, the slides and the links and the recording by email shortly.
Thank you so much for everyone for joining. I really hope you get some practical tools to your work from this webinar. And we'll have a good weekend, everyone.
Yeah, have a good weekend all. Bye.